High level of E. coli is found in the Rock River in Beloit, Wisconsin, prompting an alert from the Rock County Public Health Department. WIFR reporter Alyssa Kelly talks with experts about the bacteria and how you can stay safe around it.
E. coli levels naturally fluctuate in rivers and lakes, but when they get too high, experts stay out of the water. For some, it can mean the difference between life or death.
Keep yourself safe and do another activity this weekend and get back on the water again in a few days when the health department says all clear.
E. coli bacteria is found naturally in any body of water like a creek, river, or lake. But when it reaches high levels in those areas, your health is at risk.
Everything that gets swept up with the rain, whether that's pollutants on the street, dirt, perhaps even dog poop that's out on the grass, the water's going to seep down and run off into storm drains, into the creek, into the river.
After heavy rains, E. coli levels tend to rise in recreational waters, sometimes 10 times higher than normal. That's why the Rock County Health Department warns residents to stay out of the Rock River for now. And the city of Beloit put a hold on some activities.
It's been a few years since we've had an E. coli alert on the waterway.
The health departments have a limit that they've set, and it's 1,000 colony forming units, and that's what we test for when we test the water. Above 1,000, then it's recommended that people stay out of the water.
Experts say children, the elderly, and people with compromised immune systems are the most at risk to develop illnesses.
Extensive exposure, the E. coli can cause real health problems, and people can even die of E. coli.
And we just encourage people to be aware of the risks that it takes because we want to make sure that our community is protected.
Along with the Rock River, the Yahara River, Badfish Creek, Turtle Creek, and some small streams also tested for high levels of E. coli.
Rock County Public Health Department will perform follow-up monitoring to determine E. coli levels after a period of no rain.